All right, everybody, we are live streaming on Facebook already, and we're going to officially start in about 4 minutes. First off, welcome everyone. For those of you that are here for the first time, this is a mastermind that happens the first Friday of every month. And each month we cover a broad variety of topics. Usually the very first panel, which today it's about people that work with military moves and first responders or police. Usually the very first session of the day is a niche market or a specialty arena that may not apply to everyone in your current business, but you may want to add that into what you're doing. So it's a great opportunity if you have an interest in military moves, or you have an interest in luxury, or you're thinking about hiring someone from your family. Always pay attention to the very first session of the first Friday mastermind, because you can listen in and then get more in depth about how that could impact your business. You'll also meet some people that are currently doing that. And then after the mastermind, you can reach out to them and ask them any questions you have, or create that referral relationship with them. One of the things that I like about this mastermind, and one of the reasons I felt compelled to do this on a monthly basis, is I see an opportunity for so much more community and connection among our incredible agent body. Not just here at Keller Williams, but real estate agents. We have an opportunity to network with each other across the country and even outside of the country. So I thought this would be a great way to connect more of you, especially in this unusual year that we're having, where it's more difficult to connect. So I hope that you all are making connections, creating relationships. Feel free to reach out to any panelists that you see today. Feel free to reach out to me. This is a time where more unity, I believe, would be better for everyone overall. So I'll get off my little soapbox and we'll get ready to start officially. Today, we're going to start off, as I mentioned, with a couple of agents, 3 agents in particular, that have working with military and or working with police and first responders as a main source of their business. And I'm going to introduce them in just a minute. I want to make sure that we cross over that half-hour mark so that everyone who wants to attend can be in and a part of this. After that session, I'm really excited to introduce you to 2 agents that I'm calling them the comeback kids. I hope they take that as the compliment as it is meant to be. They are agents that were in coaching, and for a variety of reasons, they stepped away from coaching. And then they said, you know what? I want to be a part of that again. They made that decision to rejoin coaching. And I want them to just share with you what's happened in their life and what's happened in their business since they made that choice to return. Then, of course, we have the incredible bold coach, Denise Meyer, and she is going to share with us an overview of how you can have the best, she calls it success plan. Some may call it growth plan between now and December 2021. So that from this day forward, you can be focused on your personal and professional growth and absolutely push yourself out of your comfort zone and make that happen. We will also hear from Sherry Pettis and Peter Weiner on the power of a 66-day challenge. And then I'm very excited about, we are going to have our very own MREA panel. So we're going to have 3 agents that have already grossed more than 40 million in gross sales volume. And they're going to share how they made that happen in their life, the difference it's made in their life. They're going to share success, failure, what's worked, what didn't, all of it. They're going to be an open book, and I'm very excited for you all to meet them and connect with them. So let's go ahead and get started now. Elisa Bell, Sean Bell, Chris Dorward. You guys are going to be the panelists on the military movers and shakers and first responders. So First, I would just like for each of you, I'll have the bells go first. If you guys could share with everyone what it means to you when you serve clients that are military clients, both active or retired, and share how you developed that niche. So Elisa and Sean Bell from Phoenix, Arizona, please share that with us.
Bridget, good morning, everybody. We do work the Metro Phoenix market, and the main base that we work with is airport marketing. We've been working with military families for about 8 years or so, incoming and outgoing, and getting into creating that farm group has been important because it's been a really important group to target so that we can help people who need it the most. These people don't know. They do have referrals from the people who have come into town or left town recently, but trusting those referrals is a big deal. So Sean has worked a lot with the pilots. Do you want to talk about?
Is it just me? Because I can barely hear it. Is the sound? Is anybody else having low sound?
Yeah, having trouble hearing you.
I can barely
so
hear.
just, if you could move a little bit closer, Elisa, that'd be great.
I'm going to get a headset. Sean, will you talk loudly for a minute?
How's this as far as volume?
That's good.
It's cool to hear Sean talk anyway.
So the way I got into the military was by accident about probably 8 years ago. I was asked to help another agent with a military pilot that came into Luke Air Force Base to buy a home. They came in from Italy, and that was kind of the start of a relationship with averaging probably about 15 to 20 transactions per year now, primarily with the pilots at Luke Air Force Base. I'm pretty specific in the people who I target, and they are the military pilots. It's pretty easy for me because I love airplanes. I'm a type A personality, which tends to be what the pilots tend to be. And so we have a very good, I guess, a thought process. They're very bottom line people. They know what they want. And I think I'm able to align myself with those folks. It's pretty consistent. The pilots come and go every 3 years. That's the beautiful thing about working with pilots at Luke Air Force Base. They're assigned to the base, and every 3 years, they're on the move. And they consistently know of people who are coming and going to either take their place or add to the squadron. I've found that once you work with the military, which again, I think is a privilege, and I'm honored to do it, they're very loyal. As long as you treat them right and you do the right thing, the referrals are just a natural progression, which I ask for every time. Who do you know is coming or who's going? And as long as you do a good job, they're very willing and able to pass on those referrals. And we're to the stage right now where many of the pilots have actually left. They're actually coming back now to Luke. So it becomes a circle, which again has been it's been an awesome thing.
I think the other thing is that when people live in the Phoenix metro market, they see that housing here is relatively inexpensive compared to other markets. And so they oftentimes want to hang on to their homes and rent them out when they move on and then come back and either, revisit that, sell their home. So it's a great business because we are in a great market and we've got this great farm.
Right. So that's awesome. And we're now going to introduce Chris. And Chris, I'd like for you to do the same thing. Share a little bit about how you got into, which I'm going to let out a little advance here. You're a former U.S. Marine, and yes, you are a former detective with the Dallas Police Department.
That's right.
So, Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you. Please share, as Elisa and Sean did, what that means to you and how you got into it and how you work it.
Well, as far as how it means to me, we try to treat every client exactly the same. Every client's a millionaire client, whether they're buying an $80,000 house or $1 million house. And I think those values transition really well to veterans and to law enforcement. Law enforcement is they get this false narrative that they're cheap. They're not cheap. They just know how to stretch a dollar because they're used to working with low budgets. So some people don't like working with them because they just feel like it's always asking for a discount. That's not true. They just want to get as much as they can for the dollar. The way we really started getting in with law enforcement, well, when I transitioned from law enforcement in 2016, it was easy for me because I just talked to everybody that I knew and said, hey, I'm in real estate. I did exactly what that little red book says. I probably could have done it better, but I didn't. But it worked out okay. I didn't really get into working a lot with military until probably about 3 years ago. My team leader introduced me to a great group of veterans, which evolved into getting in with the Chamber of Commerce. And in our Chamber of Commerce, we have what's called the Rockwall Veteran Business Alliance. So it's just a group of veterans and people that support veterans. You don't have to be a veteran to be a part of it. But it's like-minded people that want to help veterans. So we started growing, really started by just growing our vendor base. And we try to employ and keep as many good, hardworking veterans busy. And the great thing about them is they show up when they say they're going to show up, and they do what they say they're going to do. And they do it at a really high level. So, and then that referral just transfers on, and it really works out great.
So Sean mentioned that the Bells are currently closing somewhere around 15 transactions per year, maybe up to 20, depending on the year, in their production. So it's a significant part of their sales. When you look at your sales, Chris, would you say that it's a certain amount each year? Does it vary per year? What can you share with us about that?
It varies per year, but it's getting larger. Getting that core and getting the referral base set up, which is we really, you helped me with it this year, just focusing on that and getting that core to start growing and getting the referral base to start growing. One, you're working with great people, and it's not like pining for business or like, hey, I'm sending you business, you need to send me business. It's a natural progression. It just happens. And I have a feeling we'll be doing more and more and more, but it's not just focused on veterans. It's these veterans. Like we have a great roofing company that's a Navy corpsman that was, we call him a Marine because he was a devil doc. And if he puts a roof on a house, he recommends me as an agent. He said, hey, there's no better time right now than to sell your house. You have a brand new roof, have my guy come in and give you a comparative market analysis on it. And it's just working. So we're not trying to recreate anything. It's just standard networking.
Right. And it's creating those multiple levels of relationships where, that all tie in together.
Yeah.
You guys, one of the reasons I was excited to have the Bells and Chris here, and Kalina Schumacher, who unfortunately was not able to make it at the last minute, who's also former military and now services military as an agent. But one of the things that I liked is that Elisa and Sean, you guys actually are not former military, and yet you have developed these relationships, and you have shared with me the satisfaction that you get working with them. Could you talk about that a little bit in terms of that satisfaction of servicing these military clients?
From my perspective, I meet the families, and when someone's coming into town, even though they have their military social network possibly because they've been at different bases together, when they come into town and automatically have a business affiliation with a trusted realtor who's going to give them the local dog groomer and the local dry cleaner and the local services that they need, they really feel that they're coming into a safe, protected pocket that's welcoming them back into town. From my perspective, the family interaction is the most important thing. And when we have military parties, when we host appreciation nights for our clients who are military specifically, people really, they network, they get to know each other. I enjoy coming into their circle. Mm-hmm. Your perspective is a little bit different, I think, because you deal so much with the guys, with the pilots.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, honestly, I forgot, what was the question again?
Just what's it's very satisfying. You've all shared with me, it's very satisfying. I mean, all three of you love real estate overall. Yeah. I'll grant you that. Anyone watching this video or on here today, these are three passionate real estate people. And yet you all have shared with me that there's a different level of satisfaction when you take care of those military clients and or the police clients. So what's that satisfaction for you, Sean?
Well, I think I'm to the point now where it's not so much about the dollars now. It's just the fact that I've, you know, we can look at, let's say, the 63rd Fighter Squadron and know that close to half of those pilots that have purchased the house have used me. And so my satisfaction is helping so many pilots, because then they talk to each other. Oh, you know, Sean, yeah, he's a good dude. And then the word gets around. So it's just basically, it's submerging yourself within whatever they do. You know, again, we'll do ice cream socials for the people. We'll do family nights. We're going to do a movie night here whenever the opportunity opens up. And again, it's just about, again, just being involved and being available for them, and not just about real estate, just being a person to go to, like Lisa said, for a person, a painter or a landscaper or a pool guy, because again, what you can say is, hey, so-and-so used them. I think they'd be a good fit for you. Try this person. Here's the phone number. So
Right.
It's being a trusted advisor as much as anything else.
That's great. You know, Chris, you've added in an additional element, which you sort of referenced briefly, in that you have vendors and veteran-owned business owners that you've connected and networked with. One little thing you didn't mention yet is you have also make a special effort to make sure that people getting out of the military or out of the police force for whatever reason consider real estate as a new career. And you have launched several successful, you know, former military or police as real estate agents. Is there anything that you want to add about that as an additional opportunity?
Yeah, so talking about what the Bells talked about also, it's earning their trust. Military, law enforcement, firefighters, teachers, they are stomped on every day of the week. They're not appreciated. I mean, a lot of people say they appreciate them, but for the most part, they just don't feel appreciated and they're not trusting. So to earn their trust, we don't want to be given the trust. We want to earn the trust all the way through. And once you've earned it, we're passionate about keeping it. So we do events as well. And when I was in law enforcement, I thought all I was good at was being a cop. When I was a Marine, I thought all I was good at was being a Marine, which is kind of scary. But you don't know what your talents are until you get out into the real world, right? So leaving the police department was very challenging, but it's sales experience. If you're a law enforcement, you're going into somebody's door and you have to get inside their house with them allowing you in, hopefully. And that's sales. I was a narcotics detective, so I bought drugs. And for a guy that looks like me, maybe with a little bit bigger of a beard, to be able to buy drugs, that's sales. So law enforcement, military, it all really relates to sales. So we brought several agents on. Russell Underwood is one of our greatest stars. We were partners in the police department. And we had the same talk of, you know, all I'm good at's this, but it's just not paying the bills. It's not worth the risk anymore. And he jumped in and he's a rock star and he's in our downline. So he now has a husband-wife team with 4 agents, or total of 4. It does transition really well. And I will tell you this, if you're hiring a Marine straight out of the Marine Corps, there's a vocabulary you kind of have to get them to eliminate. And that's the biggest challenge. The cussing like a sailor side of it. But once you can kind of get that curbed and taken care of, they transition well and they're passionate about it.
Yeah. And definitely the learning those skills of discipline and knowing how important it is to make sure that you're following chains of command or chains of communication, all of that, as we all know on this call, that overlays with real estate at a really high level. Think about, they will, more so than some coming from some other professions, they'll know that importance of you say certain things to the co-op agent and there's certain things you don't say. They'll understand that fiduciary and where the loyalties lie. So I always think I get excited personally as a coach when I get a call from headquarters and they're like, Bridget, do you have room in your schedule? And I'm like, who is it? It's a former fill in the blank with an armed forces. I'm like, yes, I will make room because I know that they're going to read the red book, like Chris said, they're going to listen to everything and they're going to go and execute. So it's, it is a part of your business that can become so fleshed out, as they've all said, that it becomes one of your main 3 sources of business. It also becomes past client and referral business. And it can become networking with other local business owners, and it can contribute to your downline when you talk about the career opportunity, in real estate and how they'd be such a good fit for it. I'd love for, and you guys can pick who goes first. I'd love for you guys to share what you're thinking about doing in terms of developing that leg of your business further, as we go into 2021.
Well, I think again,
I think that we need to develop our systems better. I think that's just an ongoing process. Developing, we've talked for years about having a designated Facebook page just for the military. We've done that and then we've come off of it because it hasn't been perfect. We've done different specific things for this military group and then come off of it because it hasn't been perfect. The thing that consistently works for us is top-notch customer care and really just staying in touch with these people, because the calls, notes, and pop buys matter the most. That's how we've built our business. And despite all the technological things that we can do to, create all kinds of databases and different things, the human contact matters the most. Going back to what Chris said, it's about developing a level of trust and communication and relationship. That matters because it matters. That's how you do business.
Yeah. And I think, like Lisa said, it's kind of tough right now because we used to have client parties at our houses, which were military focused. We used to have the barbecues, the
disco parties, St.
And
Patrick's
so
Day.
It used to be pretty exclusive to the military. And then the good thing is everybody would come and, oh, you know the bells. And so it would be great synergy. So it's been tough. But also as well, it's important to go deep in the relationships with the military. Know the kids' names, make sure you know their birthdays and their anniversaries and their home anniversaries, and make sure that you obviously send them CMAs once a year. And make sure that they know that you know how the market's doing. Don't just be obviously the social person, be the expert as well. And again, if they like you and trust you, unless you really screw up, they're going to use you again and most likely refer you other people, which is obviously the name of the game.
Yeah.
And by the way, Chris, thank you for your service. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You guys gave me a pretty good idea. And so we don't have local bases here. We do in Fort Worth, Alliance Airfield, a few of those, but for the most part, where we work in the Dallas area, there's not a whole lot of bases where people are just kind of flying in and flying out. But we do have a lot of government contractors in our area. So we work more with people transitioning from the military coming home. There's a lot of people in the military that enlist from Texas. So I think a good idea would be to start networking with you guys. And I know there's a military referral Facebook page. Probably need to focus a little bit more on that because I want to help your clients that are leaving there coming home and get them set up. And we have one guy he's transitioning from San Diego coming out of the Navy, and we're helping him get a job. I mean, it's not about just getting a house, and we might be 3 years from a house, but if we can get him a good job or at least put him with the people that can help him get there, it's about relationships and networking all the way through. And then when he's ready to buy a house, he's going to come to us. And then we're family. It's no longer client. We really look at them like they're family, and they look at us like we're family. It's great.
Right, absolutely. Now, do you work with primarily enlisted, Chris?
Enlisted and officer. So I'm in a good group where we have everybody from generals to people that got out of the Marine Corps privates, which, that's a challenge, and we call those real Marines. But they've all got to transition. They've all got to come home, and they all need jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd love to work with you.
Yes, ma'am. I'd love to work with you.
Thank you.
So is there anything that I did not bring up that you guys are dying to share?
You know, I have to say, again, because I'm more used to working with the families, Sean's working with the guys, doing things for the wives is really important because we've got to also honor the wives and the spouses' commitments to the military. So recognizing Military Spouse Appreciation Day is a big deal to us. Yeah. We do a lot for that day. Doing pedicure days at a local salon. We'll rent the local salon and, you know, have them bring a friend. And that's the way that we can meet more people. And it's a time for us to just really.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you. It works. People like to get in there and kibitz a little bit and get away from the kids for a second.
A military spouse, that's really the hardest job in the military, because when the veteran is deployed, they know where they are, they know they're safe, they know what they're in, but the spouse is home wondering where they are. Communication's a little bit better now, but with the lack of communication, it's very scary and they don't know what's happening, and focusing on them is a really great idea.
Yeah, every year we, so for our A+ clients, I mean, we try and do it for as many as possible, but for our A's and A+, we send out, we've done chocolate, strawberries, we've done fruit baskets, we've done gift cards, but every Military Spouses Appreciation Day, we definitely make it a big deal. And on Facebook, we're always acknowledging the spouses, talking about how tough it is to move, to find new schools for the kids. And that's another good point. Also, be a great resource for the wives when it comes to schools for the inbound military, because they always have questions about schools. Yeah. So if you're good, you have knowledge about the local schools, that's a very important point, what they're looking for. But yeah, again, going back, just acknowledge the spouses and you'll get great results from that. Yeah. And they deserve it.
Yeah. I'm a military kid. Can I get some of those benefits that you were talking about?
Yes, come on over for a petty, Bridget.
So I want to shift to, in the event there's people in our group now or that are watching this video in the future that are not currently working this opportunity in business, what advice would you give that agent as they create their business plan for 2021? If they want to get into military referral business or supporting first responders, what are some first steps, actions they could take to add this into their business?
I think starting with your local, focus on your local area, get in with your Chamber of Commerce. I don't know that probably the majority of Chamber of Commerces don't have direct, just solid veteran networks. If they don't, maybe start one. Talk to the Chamber about starting one. Ours is the Rockwall Veteran Business Alliance. And it's, like I said earlier, it's not about just being veterans. It's people that support veterans. And I'll say this about working with veterans. If you're going to tell them you're going to do something, you need to do it. And that's really any business, but especially veterans, law enforcement, firemen, teachers. If you're going to tell them you're going to do something, do it to a high level. And don't do it when it's convenient for you. If you're starting a group, you need to be there every week. If you say there's meetings every week, you need to be there every week as much as possible.
Bells, any ideas?
I would say go find a military client, your first one, and then give them the wow factor experience, completely blow the doors off. I mean, do everything you possibly can to make it the best experience they could ever imagine, and then ask for the referrals.
Yeah, for us, it was a little bit different because we had an introduction initially, and that's how we gained our foothold. Otherwise, because we're not former military, I don't know how we would have broken in, but I think the Chamber of Commerce is a really great starting point, Chris.
I agree. Yeah, or starting that veterans group.
Yes.
I would love to open this up. So if anyone out there would like to ask a question of any of our panelists, you can either unmute yourself or you can put it right in the chat box. But are there any questions for Chris, Elisa, or Sean?
Hey, Bridget, James Vance here in the Sarasota area. I'd like to just put this out to both groups. I'm former military as well. I come from the reserve component, and it sounds like you guys are working very heavily with active component. Do you have any input on or experience with working with National Guard and Reserve units in your local area, and are your strategies any different given that they don't transition as frequently as their active duty components?
Well, I work with several of the pilots who actually fly for the reserve. They're also airline pilots, and they're still flying for the military. And again, even though they're not moving, they still know a bunch of people who are coming or going. So again, I think they're a very good source. And again, I just lean on them very heavily for the referrals.
They're in that farm group.
Yeah.
We definitely include them in that group and treat them with the same kid gloves we treat everyone in that group.
As far as me, I don't have the base local, like in our market area, but we do work with National Guard that live in the area that'll drive an hour or so to their base. We probably don't. It's not that we don't focus on them. I don't really look at it like it's a difference. So a veteran's a veteran, military is military, law enforcement's law enforcement. It's all, we treat them all the same. We could focus more on probably trying to get more of their business, but we just focus on veterans in general. So,
yeah.
Any other questions? Going once. So I always love to close up a session by having at least 3 people share one aha that they're taking away from what we've discussed. So are there 3 people? And again, you can either put it in the chat and I'll read it out. I believe I see one there. Or you can unmute yourself and share it live. So who has an aha they're taking away from what they've shared?
I do. Thank you so much. I'm Anna Stell Mays in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm all about when we can get back into those spas doing the petty days for our preferred clients. Thank you.
Excellent. Let's get 2
Anna
more.
Stell.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to let you know I'm from Piedmont on the East Bay. So if you know anyone coming to Dallas, please send them to me and I'll send them to you as well.
We will make that happen.
See, that's why I want to do these masterminds, because you never know who you're going to connect with. So let's get 2 more.
Where my family grew up, Chris.
Ma'am?
Let's get 2 more ahas.
Okay.
This is Tom Wood. I actually have the slanted and prejudiced opinion of Sean and Elisa, since I'm the OP of their market center. But I will say this. They are wonderful, beautiful people, and I love seeing the referrals happening, but they definitely have a loyalty to their client, unlike I see with most agents who even claim that they do. And that's the wonderful thing. They've found a niche that works, and I think it's because of how they're wired as human beings that has caused that niche to really grow and blossom.
Well, I agree.
Thanks, Tom.
Yes,
thank you very much,
Tom, for being here and sharing that.
Hey, Bridget, it's Becky Williams. I have a question.
Okay.
I have two people on my team that have been in the service, and one of them is creating a referral business with everyone that she knew in the service. So she's trying to reconnect with everyone, and if they have a move in the near future, she can help them find a great realtor. Is that being done by anyone that's on the call, and how are they doing that? Is there anything special that's working really good for them? Is it just basically staying in touch?
You know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to connect Becky directly with Sean and Chris. Because yes, Becky, there are some systems for that I'm sure they would share with you. And then there's also some groups that we can connect them with, predominantly on social media, but we can definitely get you hooked up with that.
Terrific.
Okay.
Terrific, thank you.
So let's all take a moment and let's thank the Bells, Elisa and Sean, and let's thank Chris Dorward for sharing today. Again, there are Meet the Speaker posts on Facebook. So if you want to connect with them, their information is there. You can always reach out to me and say, who was that couple or who was that guy in Texas? And I'll connect you directly. But I'm happy, and I want to thank you, everyone. Let's thank them for sharing with us today. Okay.
Thank you, Bridget.
All right. You're welcome.